Hello, welcome everybody to this year's Port Harcourt International Education Festival. My name is Gladys Briggs and I come from Bayelsa State, but I'm married to Rivers State. Um, just to say thank you everyone for investing your time and energy and money to being here to join us in this year's event. Uh, Education is at the epicenter of any developing society, and we're really happy to be part of that epicenter. You know, as practitioners, we want to get ourselves ready to prepare our children for this future, this better future that we also desire for them. So once again, you're welcome. When I got the topic that I was going to teach, I think I was given two areas and it was so vague. In fact, I just want to say thank you to Tony Adokie Ekine for giving me such vague topics to talk about. He said teaching maths like ABC. I'm like, what? Where am I going to start from with that? What is ABC? And the other one was the curriculum and blah blah blah. So I thought, no, this is just going to be so ambiguous. Let me just think about one thing that I'm going to bring to you, and we will all take it from there. So, okay, let's jump in. Okay, so I decided that I was going to teach you about the maths curriculum, how you can support pupils to access the maths curriculum. And I always like to start off with some keyword definitions in my seminars or in my lessons. So a nice one would be curriculum. What is the maths curriculum? I want you to think about it for a few minutes, and then maybe you can discuss with your partners, and then you can feedback to the group. One or two can be chosen to feedback in the group. Maybe you can pause the video and have the little discussion with your partners, and then you can feedback to the group what you think the maths curriculum is or what the curriculum is. Okay, so well done everybody for your contributions and your responses. Here's a short, nice one that I picked on the internet that I think is going to stay with you, is going to remain in your memory. The curriculum is everything that we teach. So in that case, for maths, it will be everything that we teach in maths. Whether you write them down or you don't write them down, it's every single thing that we teach. So in your schools, you should have a document or something that your school uses as a reference. Every school uses like a different curriculum. Like most state schools use the country's curriculum. Like in Nigeria now, all the state schools are supposed to be using the Nigerian curriculum in their state, maybe for the primary schools, but maybe secondary and maybe university. There should be some kind of national document. Here in the UK, they have for Wales, they have a national curriculum for Wales. England, the national curriculum, and Scotland and Ireland, America, every country has theirs. State schools follow those. Private schools tend to maybe have theirs and then kind of align it with some other curriculum as well. Yeah, if you're a school within Nigeria, you should make sure that you have the NERDC's one and you try and stick to that one. You try and use it, and then you can have anything else on top of it. It won't be fair that you throw away what you have, saying, oh, it's inconsistent, it's this, it's that, and then you take what somebody else has where that person is not never going to use yours. So you must always put Nigeria first. You must always put the Nigerian curriculum first, and then you can embrace, put other things, add other things to it to make it much more robust. And don't forget, the curriculum is a basic document. It's a basic document. It's not the be all and end all. It can be extended. You can add more things to it to make it much more enriching for your students. One thing I'm going to ask now is, how does your school ensure that the entire scope of the curriculum is covered? And how does your school ensure that everything that is in the curriculum is covered, including some extended tasks? I'll give you a few minutes to think about it. Okay. So this is what leads us onto the whole idea of having a scheme of work in your department, like in the maths department. You should have a scheme of work where you outline week after week after week after week how you are going to cover all those topics, all those curriculum topics, how you're going to cover them in the whole term. You should know how many weeks you have in the term and how many weeks you are on holiday or on teacher training day. And then you should then plan, because it's all about planning. You should then plan how you are going to spread out all of those topics in the curriculum so that students will be able to get all those topics and even more before the end of the term or the school year. So after you have decided what curriculum to use and then you have worked together with your team to in the maths department or in your science department, whichever, to come up with a scheme of work that details all the topics and how you're going to teach them week after week, how many lessons per week you're going to have, every single detail like that. Then all that is left to do is to teach, is to deliver the lessons. Now, teaching is a form of art, and just like every other form of art, you get better with experience. So you have to try and find yourself as a teacher, know your class, know your students, and know how to manage your class so that you can get the best out of them. Teaching maths, you have to have a good subject knowledge. It's very important. The four main aspects of mathematics at the stage of primary and secondary are number work, algebra, geometry, and data. And in some countries or in some curriculums, number work is split into calculations with basic operators and number work. So when I mean calculations with basic operators, I'm talking about all the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and board math, that type of thing, yeah? And using a calculator or just anything to do with calculations. Okay, so one topic that is very vital or very key, that's just from my own personal experience of teaching maths. Yeah, one topic that is a very vital topic to obviously number work is the foundation of everything. So at the beginning in September, you must always start with your number work. If you're in primary one, you are teaching how to write the numbers, how to read them, how to count, you know. If you're in primary 3, you're learning your addition, subtraction, multiplication, all those things, times table. If you're in secondary, you start off with fractions, decimals, percentages, and that's the topic. That is the topic that I'm about to tell you about, which is the one thing that affects a lot of people who say they don't understand maths. They don't know maths because you find numbers written in so many different ways. Some numbers are written as fractions. Sometimes they are written as decimals. The same number can be written as a percentage. And all these different ways that numbers are being written gets people confused. So it's a very important topic in mathematics that should not be taken for granted. From primary 1 up to the end of secondary school, children should have a good foundation in fractions, decimals, and percentages. So that's kind of the area where I'm going to focus the whole thing now. I'm going to go into how you can plan a good lesson for fractions, decimals, and percentages, and learning ladders for fractions, decimals, and percentages. Okay, so let's have a look at how to teach fractions, for example. Fractions is a very broad topic and it's a very fundamental topic as well. Here, I've got all of the, let me just circle the area so that you know what I'm talking about. Here, I've got all of the topics within fraction in mathematics, at least up to year 9, what you call JS3 in Nigeria. Yeah, so you got your in year 1, maybe they may be looking at things like introduction to fractions. So like you're going to be teaching them halves, quarters, how to shade half and how to shade quarter and thirds, and so on and so forth. You can use pictures to show them half, and you can just draw like a rectangle or a circle and then divide into half and then show them that, you know. And then by the time they get to year two, you're talking about fraction of amounts, but you're in terms of like in a pictorial way, like half of six. So you have six things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So you have six things, and you want to show them that half is dividing those six things into two equal parts. And then so they would then discover that half of six, yeah, half of six would be 3, yeah. And then they'll begin to get the understanding that halving things is the same thing as dividing things. It's another way that we look at dividing things. By the time they get to year 3, they started to add, subtract like fractions. By the time they get to year 4, year 5, they're doing improper fractions and mixed numbers, ordering fractions, multiplying and dividing fractions is like later on, maybe year 6. And then fractions, decimals, and percentages, being able to convert between them. Between fractions, decimals, and percentages is a big one that that the children struggle with. So that's like at the end of year 6. By the end of year 6, they should be able to do that one, primary 6. By the time they get into secondary school, they should be able to do a lot of it, fractions, decimals, and percentages. So imagine that we're in year 4, we're teaching year 4 now, and we want to teach them improper fractions and mixed numbers. So let's jump in. So I'm going to take you to Mass Junction. I'm already there anyway, and I'm going to show you how I would teach my lesson for year 4, primary 4, for mixed numbers and improper fractions. Mind you, I already have my lesson plan, which is very detailed, including the time that I'm going to do every activity, because it's mixed numbers and improper fraction. They're going to be using their dividing and multiplying skills. So in my starter, I might have already done a little starter with them where they practice how to multiply and divide, maybe like a 5 or 10 minutes activity where they practice how to multiply and divide, so that that's just going to wake them up, so that when I give them the activity for mixed numbers and improper fractions, they will be able to do it. So let's jump in. So it's very important that children understand keywords. You must always explain to children. You must always start off by explaining to them what those keywords mean, because there's so many things that jargons that are thrown at children, and it's part of the reason they don't understand concepts. So you have to make sure that as you're beginning that lesson, they know what you're talking about. It's got a whole number part, it's got a fractions part, there's the whole number part, and there's the fractions part. You need to explain that to them. Where possible, use illustration. Draw pictures on the board. Draw something on the board like a circle. 2 whole circles and a half circle means 2.5. You can write it in words and you can write it in numbers, just so that they begin to understand all the different ways that these things can present themselves. Then you can do your little example. You can do your little examples of the mixed number and the improper fraction. When you've done all this, after you've done all your explanations and you've given a little example of how to do it, then you can give them an activity to do, and that activity has to be differentiated. You would have known within your class, within your group, how able every child is, and put them into groups according to their ability, and then give them, your learning objective or your success criteria should be differentiated. You should say, okay, some children are going to be able to do this, some other children are going to be able to do this, and the other children, maybe who are in the top set, may be able to do this. So in terms of fractions now, you may be thinking about just for the children who are at the bottom of the class, you may be thinking of just to get the skill, the practice skill. Then the next one will be doing something a bit more challenging. Then the next set, maybe the top group in your class, would be doing like an application type problem where it's worded. Maybe you give them a problem with words, and then they will have to think about the language before they put it into a simple mathematical sentence and then solve it. Yeah, so that's how we think about it when we think about differentiating it for different abilities within the class. So you would have done a lovely explanation like this, and you can then do the activity with them. After the activity, you're going to have a discussion with them about how they did. Give them some feedback, the answers to the questions. I mean, not that you tell them, you ask them. And when you're getting this feedback from them, don't just give them, let them give you the feedback, how they did it. Oh, so how did you solve your own problem? What was the answer to question 1? How did you get that answer? What method did you use? So different ways that you can get them to be discussing about it, because guess what? The more they talk about it, the more it stays in their permanent memory, the more it registers in their permanent memory. And the ones who can't do much, when they hear their colleagues talking about it, when they hear their friends talking about it, they to catch on to them. Yeah. So, and after all of this, now this would be your main session where you discuss, where you do the activity and you do the learning and you get the feedback, and you explain to them, and they can do partner marking, or if your school does not do that, you can take it and mark their books, or however you do the assessment after that. Then you can do a plenary session where you do question and answer with them at the end of it. You can do a plenary session with them, and then you end it. In an hour, you should have been able to do all of these things. Yeah, and then you end it. But make sure that they have a good understanding of fractions and all the different ways that fractions can be written. A whole number, and a fraction, that's a mixed number. How can they write 1/2? What's the difference between 1/2 and 1 whole and 1/2? Yeah, all that type of thing. Yeah, so that's how I would do a lesson on maybe mixed numbers and improper fraction. If your school would like to sign up to Maths Junction to have access to all of our curriculum lessons, get in touch with me. I will leave my phone number on my WhatsApp number on the screen for you, so that you can get in touch with me, so your school can sign up and they can have all of our curriculum lessons, how we've done them and how you can use them. Okay. Okay. So we started off with having a good understanding of the curriculum, and then we looked at the maths curriculum and how to create a scheme of work based on the curriculum, and then how to narrow that down into a lesson. And we did have a look at fractions, how to teach a fractions lesson, particularly one to do with mixed numbers and improper fraction. I feel like I've enriched you today, and I hope you feel enriched. I will be on standby for your questions. If you have any questions, get them ready for me and I will be answering to them. If your school would like to sign up for Maths Junction so that you can have access to all of our lovely lesson videos and worksheets or textbooks, or lesson quizzes that can be used within your lessons as maybe starters or plenaries, you can, I'll leave my number on the screen so that you can contact me, your school can contact me directly, and then we can arrange for you to be signed up to partner with us. Okay, I'm on standby for your questions. See you soon. Bye.